We live in a world where validation has become a form of currency. A like, a comment, a compliment, we chase them like they are evidence that we matter. But let me tell you something from experience. The moment you make other people's opinions your compass, you lose your way. I've been there. I've been the girl who wanted to be liked, who wanted to fit in, who thought that if enough people clapped, it meant I was doing something right. But what I learned sometimes painfully is that validation is a trap, and chasing it will never lead to real respect. The need for constant validation stems from a lack of inner confidence. When you're unsure of your own worth, you start outsourcing that judgment to the world. You start asking indirectly, sometimes even silently, am I enough? Do you approve? Is this okay? And the moment you ask those questions, you give people power over you. You give them the keys to your self-esteem. But here's the truth. No one should have that kind of control over your identity. Real confidence doesn't come from applause, it comes from self-assurance. It comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of, even when no one is watching. And here's the irony, the less you chase validation, the more respect you earn. Why? Because people respect those who are rooted in themselves. People admire those who don't beg for attention, but command it quietly, powerfully, with grace. Validation is also dangerously addictive. The more you get it, the more you need it, and it's never enough. Today it's 50 likes, tomorrow you'll want 100, and when the applause stops, and trust me, it always does at some point, what's left, if your worth is built on external approval, then your confidence collapses the moment that approval disappears. That's no way to live, and it's certainly no way to earn respect. Respect comes from living with intention, from showing up as your real self, from not tailoring your truth to fit someone else's comfort zone. That takes courage. It means saying what you believe, even if it's unpopular. It means doing the work because it matters to you, not because you want praise. It means not shrinking yourself to avoid judgment and not inflating yourself to get admiration. It means being real even when it's not glamorous. And don't get me wrong, appreciation feels good. Compliments are lovely, encouragement is important, but they should never be your fuel. They should be a bonus, not the foundation. Because when the foundation is internal, when your self-worth is built on authenticity, resilience, and purpose, you become unshakable. I remember when I stopped caring whether I fit into someone else's idea of enough. I stopped asking for permission to be bold, to speak up, to dream bigger than what anyone thought was possible. And that's when things shifted. That's when I started earning real respect, not because I was trying to impress, but because I was finally just being me. Fully unapologetically. So if you want to earn respect, the kind that lasts, stop seeking validation. Trust yourself, back yourself, clap for yourself when no one else does. Because at the end of the day, you're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected. And that begins the moment you decide that your worth isn't up for negotiation. There's something deeply damaging about the way we're often taught to be humble, especially if you're a woman or someone from a background that hasn't traditionally been handed the spotlight. We're told not to brag, not to be too much, and not to outshine others. And so, little by little, we learn to play small. We lower our voice in meetings, we downplay our wins, we let others take the credit. We shrink ourselves so we don't make others uncomfortable. And eventually, we start believing that maybe we were never meant to take up space in the first place. But let me tell you what I've learned, not just from the movies or red carpets, but from life itself. Playing small does not serve you, and it doesn't serve the world either. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out, to bring your full, unapologetic self to every room you enter. And when you mute your greatness out of fear, out of habit, or out of trying to make yourself more palatable, you cheat yourself and everyone around you out of your full potential. I remember walking into rooms early in my career where I felt like I had to prove myself over and over again. And instead of walking in with the knowledge that I belonged, I would subconsciously try to not rock the boat. I'd wait to be asked, wait to be invited, wait for permission, but the truth is, you can't wait your way into power. You step into it, you claim it. Respect isn't given to the quietest voice in the corner who waits patiently. Respect comes to those who dare to be seen. Playing small can look like modesty, but it's actually rooted in fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of being called arrogant or self-centered. But think about this: why is it arrogant to own your success? Why is it a threat to shine? We never question why the sun rises each morning. We never ask it to tone itself down. Your light is meant to shine too, not to blind others, but to inspire them to shine with you. And when you play small, it's not just you who suffers. You also set an example for others that hiding is safer than being bold, especially for young people watching you. Whether they're your siblings, children, students, or fans, they learn not from what you say, but from how you live. And if you keep dimming your brilliance, they'll start to question their own. Now, this doesn't mean you have to shout to be heard or act superior to feel powerful. Confidence doesn't need to be loud, but it must be *visible*. It's in how you walk, how you speak your mind, how you stop apologizing for your ideas. It's in how you celebrate your wins without guilt, how you negotiate without shame, and how you choose to believe in yourself, even when others don't yet see your value. Letting go of the habit of playing small is an act of courage. It's a declaration that you will no longer edit yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to bury it to make others feel more comfortable. Because here's the truth: real respect doesn't come when you hide. It comes when you stand tall, own your voice, and step fully into your power. So don't be afraid to be big, be bold, be brilliant. The world needs more people who are unafraid to take up space. And once you stop playing small, you'll realize something powerful. The room was never too small for you. You were just meant to expand. Gossip is one of those habits that sneaks into our lives quietly, often disguised as casual conversation, bonding, or even concern. It might start with a "Did you hear what she did?" or "I don't mean to be rude, but..." And before you know it, you're in the middle of dissecting someone else's life as if it's entertainment. It can feel harmless, even satisfying in the moment, but the truth is, gossip is a destructive habit, and if you want to earn real respect, it's one you need to leave behind. When you engage in gossip, you may think you're just sharing or venting, but what you're really doing is sending a message, and it's not about the person you're talking about. It's about you. It tells people that you don't respect boundaries, that you can't be trusted with sensitive information, and that you find power in pulling others down. And trust me, people notice. Even those who laugh with you will question what you say when they're not around. Gossip doesn't build connection, it builds suspicion. There's also something deeply insecure about the need to talk about others, especially in a negative light. Often, gossip comes from a place of comparison, jealousy, or boredom. When we're unsure of our own path, it's easier to focus on someone else's. When we're not feeling great about ourselves, it's tempting to shine a light on other people's flaws to distract from our own. But that's not strength, that's fear in disguise, and fear will never earn you respect at best. It earns you attention, and even that is temporary. You have to ask yourself, what kind of energy do you want to put into the world? Because every word you speak either adds value or takes it away. When you choose to gossip, you're choosing to be part of a cycle that thrives on negativity. It's like polluting your own environment. The more you contribute to the toxicity, the more it eventually comes back to you. On the flip side, when you choose not asterisk to gossip, when you protect someone's name in a room where they're not present, you earn a different kind of respect. People start to notice your integrity. They begin to trust you more, not just because you're kind, but because you're strong enough not to participate in tearing others down. It shows that you're someone who values dignity, your own and that of others. And let's be honest, gossip is a waste of energy. Every moment you spend dissecting someone else's drama is a moment you're not investing in your own growth. Do you want to be the person who talks about others, or the one others talk about for all the right reasons? Focus on your goals, work on your character, celebrate others genuinely, and if you don't have something uplifting to say, sometimes silence is the most powerful response. People who rise, who lead, who inspire, they don't have time for petty conversations. They're too busy creating, building, and empowering. They surround themselves with those who uplift, not those who undermine. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want to be respected as a leader, a professional, a friend, or even just a human being with integrity, you have to rise above the noise. So the next time gossip comes your way, pause. Ask yourself, is this kind, is this true, is this necessary? And if it's not all three, walk away, because respect isn't earned by knowing the latest scandal. It's earned by having the strength to stay silent when speaking would cause harm. And in a world full of noise, your silence, when rooted in integrity, speaks louder than words ever could. Blaming others is one of the easiest things to do when life doesn't go our way. It's a natural defense mechanism, a way to shield ourselves from the discomfort of failure, disappointment, or frustration. We point fingers at circumstances, people, systems, and even fate, thinking that if we can just identify who or what's at fault, we'll feel better. But the truth is, constantly blaming others is like trying to drive a car by sitting in the passenger seat. You might feel momentarily vindicated, but you're not going anywhere. If you truly want to earn respect from others and from yourself, you have to let go of this habit. Taking responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything. It's about recognizing the power you do have and using it. When you live in a state of blame, you give away your power. You make yourself a victim of your circumstances, and you stay stuck. But when you take ownership of your actions, your mindset, and your choices, you take control of your narrative. That's where growth begins, that's where change happens, and that's where real respect is earned, not by being perfect, but by being accountable. In life, things won't always be fair. People will wrong you, doors will close. Mistakes, sometimes not even your own, will set you back. But you have a choice in every situation. You can either dwell on who or what hurt you, or you can ask, what can I learn from this? And how do I move forward? The people who are admired, the people who rise above, are the ones who choose progress over pity, reflection over resentment. I've had moments in my own life where things didn't go the way I planned. Roles I didn't get, people who let me down, opportunities that slipped away. And yes, there were moments of anger, sadness, and frustration. But I realized that staying in that headspace, blaming everyone around me, did nothing but delay my healing and my comeback. The moment I stopped pointing fingers and started asking, okay, what can I control here, was the moment things started shifting for me. There's something incredibly empowering about owning your part, even in situations that feel unfair. It allows you to grow, it makes you more self-aware, and it earns you the kind of respect that lasts, because people don't respect those who always play the victim. They respect those who stand up, face their reality, and keep going. Letting go of blame also improves your relationships. When you stop accusing and start reflecting, communication improves, trust deepens. You create a space where growth is possible for both you and the people around you. Blame builds walls, responsibility builds bridges, and maybe the most important part, when you stop blaming others, you start seeing yourself more clearly. You stop waiting for the world to fix things for you, and you become the solution. That shift in mindset can change everything: your confidence, your purpose, your ability to lead, because people follow those who lead themselves first. So if you're stuck, ask yourself, am I blaming someone else for something I can actually change? Am I using blame as a shield instead of owning my next step? And if the answer is yes, let it go, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Blame feels safe, but it keeps you small. Responsibility feels hard, but it makes you powerful. And at the end of the day, respect doesn't come from being right all the time. It comes from being real enough to admit when you're wrong and strong enough to do something about it. Comparison is a thief not just of joy, but of confidence, clarity, and peace. Yet it's something almost everyone struggles with at some point. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easier than ever to fall into the trap. We scroll through curated snapshots of other people's lives, their achievements, their beauty, their success, their seemingly perfect relationships, and we start questioning our own path. Why am I not there yet? Why don't I have what they have? What's wrong with me? The more we compare, the smaller we feel, and the smaller we feel, the less we value who we are. But if you want to earn real respect, the kind that begins within and radiates outward, you have to stop measuring your worth against someone else's journey. Comparison is rooted in scarcity, the belief that if someone else is winning, it means you're losing. But that's not how life works. Life is not a race with only one winner. There's enough space for everyone to succeed in their own way. Someone else's beauty doesn't take away from yours, their success doesn't make your goals less valid, their timeline doesn't mean yours is wrong, you're not late, you're not behind, you're simply on your own path and no one else can walk it but you. The danger of comparison is that it shifts your focus from purpose to performance. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" or "What matters to me?" you start chasing what looks good to others. You pursue goals that aren't even yours. You make decisions based on external approval rather than inner alignment, and slowly you lose yourself trying to be someone you were never meant to be. I've felt it too. I've walked into rooms where people had more awards, more fame, more experience. And for a moment that inner critic would whisper, "Are you enough?" But I've learned to quiet that voice by reminding myself that the only person I need to compete with is who I was yesterday. Growth isn't about surpassing others, it's about evolving into your truest, strongest self. Respect doesn't come from imitation, it comes from authenticity. People admire those who are unapologetically themselves, the ones who are rooted in their values, who celebrate their uniqueness, who know that their worth is not up for debate. When you stop comparing and start honoring your journey, you step into a power that's magnetic. You become someone others look up to, not because you're trying to be like them, but because you've embraced who you are. And let's be real, you never know the full story behind someone else's success. You see the highlight reel, not the behind, the scenes. You don't see the sleepless nights, the private struggles, the sacrifices. So comparing your reality to someone else's surface is not only unfair, it's misleading. Instead of envying what they have, learn from it, be inspired, not intimidated. Let their light remind you that your light is needed too. When you stop comparing, you start living. You start making decisions based on your truth. You discover what genuinely fulfills you. You gain confidence that isn't dependent on validation. And most of all, you build a kind of self-respect that's unshakable, the kind that doesn't need applause because it already knows its value. So give yourself permission to let go of comparison. Celebrate others without questioning your own worth. Trust your timing. Focus on your growth. Because in the end, the only life you're responsible for is your own. And that life deserves your full attention, not your divided doubt. Respect begins the moment you realize you are not here to be better than anyone else. You are here to be the best version of *yourself.